One thing about a good story mode game, people are gonna die. Unlike movies where you're watching everyone interact, in a story mode game, you are the main character. You're the one interacting with the characters and the world. That's why it feels so satisfying when a character we hate dies, and why it's so heartbreaking when a beloved character gets cooked. At this point, I've cried over more video game stories than I have movies or TV shows. That's how deep the character development in games goes, dog. That being said, these are the top 10 saddest deaths in all of gaming. I bet none of you thought Call of Duty would make the cut, but here we are. But the old COD campaigns were actually made with love, with MW2 being regarded as one of the best Call of Duties of all time. Roaches and Ghost deaths are some of the most unexpected in all of gaming. Seeing the memes for Ghost pop up again during the reboot of Modern Warfare 2 was so devastating. I couldn't even enjoy it, bro. After spending the whole game with these two, Shepard has to come through and do you dirty in the most unexpected way possible.
You have the DSM. We got it, sir. Good. That's one less loose end. No!
Do you guys know what this did to 10-year-old me, bro? It broke me. The way Ghost instantly tried to shoot at Shepard but just wasn't fast enough. Roach reaching out and grabbing Shepard's wrist and then him just shaking it off. Down to Captain Price. We gotta work on that timing, Price. You just had to call them like 5 minutes earlier, dog. Desperately trying to warn them both not to trust Shepard as they both burn.
Do not trust Shepard! I say again, do not trust Shepard! Son, get down!
I swear, Reggie was put in this game just to die. I swear he's here just to make the character have a moral dilemma. And you know what? It worked! From the start of the game, we see Reggie and Delsin are polar opposites. Delsin is a bit of a delinquent who has a hobby spraying graffiti and just generally getting into trouble. Meanwhile, his brother's an actual cop who has literally arrested Delsin multiple times. So yeah, brotherly love. Arresting your own brother is so crazy though. Talk about bootlicking, he's boot chomping. But Reggie's not all the way a dickhead though. See, people with superpowers in this game's universe aren't really looked at too fondly. Them boys are treated as second-class citizens. People are either afraid of them or just don't really like being around them. But when Delsin gets his powers, Reggie doesn't abandon him or even try to turn him in like in the past. He sticks by his brother and promises him that they'll figure it out. Throughout the story, Reggie consistently uses whatever resources he has to help Delsin with his powers and his fight against the DUP. Even saving Delsin's life.
My brother finds out what you did. Oh, he is gonna...
He's gonna what?
Bro pulled up with a fucking RPG. Where did you get that? You're not even in your jurisdiction. But in saving his brother's life, he ended up giving up his own. He put a target on his back that Augustine was happy to hunt.
Leave my brother alone, you bitch! Oh, dear God! Reggie! Come on! Where's he?
Delsin, look at me. You gotta let me go.
No, I can do this!
Listen, we can't let this stuff get to you two. I'm so proud of you. Always have been.
No! Lindsay, don't!
I love you, bro.
Jesus, bro. This hurts so bad because it felt like at any moment bro could have been saved. There was no real need for Augustine to murk him. All she wanted was Delsin. She was trying to break Delsin, but in doing this, she simply sealed her own fate. And you really feel the effects of it too. You go straight from losing Reggie to a boss battle with Augustine. And the whole time, Delsin is just screaming in pain and anger.
Let it out!
Delsin uses his signature orbital drop to end the fight, and instead of smiling in excitement per usual, we see something else from him. Look at my guy's face. The way he goes from sad and hurt, then back to bloodthirsty anger is literally insane. Cyberpunk 2077 is a game that changed my life in a way I never expected. When I first met Jackie, he put a gun to my head and got both of our asses kicked. Safe to say, I didn't really rock with Jackie too much at that point. Even though he kept insisting we were friends now, I wasn't buying it. But have you all heard the phrase, you never know how much you love something until it's gone? Through the first chapter of the game, you see a montage of what you and Jackie get up to over the next few months. Y'all become more than best friends, brothers for real, doing jobs and robberies, sometimes successful and sometimes not. You get beat up together, you party together, you get paid together. For better or for worse, you guys are in it together.
And Wayland Boa Boa. The greater the risk, the bigger the bounty, kids. Or so they say. But you can only be a Major League player for so long. The faster you live, the faster you burn.
Until one day, the two of you bite off a bit more than you can chew. With dreams of building a legacy and becoming Night City legends, you and Jackie take up a job that goes horribly wrong and leads to Jackie getting shot by Arasaka security. Jackie dies so suddenly that you didn't even realize how much you were warming up to bro in such a short amount of time. His death is so abrupt that it leaves you with an emptiness that you kind of carry with you for the rest of the game. See, playing as V, you choose how he responds to people, so his personality can be inconsistent depending on your choices. But Jackie, there's no question about who he was. Bro loved life. You gotta love life to walk around with this yee-ass haircut, bro.
Brother,
The game shows you how many people he's touched and how many people really care for him. He wanted to be a Night City legend, but if you ask me, bro already was one. He's that best friend that's always talking about something. He annoys you sometimes, but you can't really imagine life without him until you're already living it. Luckily, if you chose to attend his funeral in the game, you see how many people are there to carry on his memory.
Por mi hijo.
If The Last of Us has taught us one thing, whatever character the game starts you playing as when the game starts, don't get too attached to them, bro. You start the game off as Joel's daughter, Sarah. You're home alone at night as the initial zombie outbreak begins. Joel gets home and you, Joel, and his brother Tommy attempt to escape the city as it descends into chaos. Before long, they get into an accident that injures Sarah's leg. Of course it does. It couldn't have been an arm. It couldn't have been anything else. It had to be her leg. The game then gives you control of Joel for the first time as you pick up Sarah and try to outrun the infected chasing you. You come across a military man who saves you from the infected, and you breathe a sigh of relief as he contacts the military. However, the military is no longer rescuing civilians.
Somebody, we've just been through hell. Okay, we just need... Shit. Please don't. Oh, no. Sarah. Move your hands, baby. I know, baby, I know. God. Listen to me. I know this hurts, baby. You're gonna be okay, baby. Stay with me. All right. I'm gonna pick you up. I know, baby. I know it hurts. Come on, baby. Please. I know, baby. I know. Sarah.
This scene is still one of the most brutal scenes in all of gaming, and it perfectly illustrates one of the biggest fears for all parents. Joel is doing everything he possibly can in a hopeless situation. The world around him crumbles and burns, and his one goal is to keep his daughter safe. And how ironic is it that a beacon of safety is the one to take her away?
Please. 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 Please don't. Please.
Remember what I said about starting characters in The Last of Us? Well, you start the second game as Joel.
Really?
At the end of the first game, we see Joel go on a rampage through a hospital to save Ellie's life and escape with her. Ellie is immune to the zombie virus. Joel traveled across the country with Ellie to get her to this hospital. The group here was hoping to operate on Ellie and create a cure through her immunity. What they didn't tell Joel was that the procedure would kill Ellie, as they would basically have to dissect her brain. Upon learning this, he killed the doctor that was in charge of operating on Ellie and everybody else in the hospital. That doctor was this girl's father, Abby Anderson. In the second game, we meet Abby. We learn that in the years since the first game, she's planned her revenge against Joel for murdering her father. She traveled across states just to get to this very moment where she would find Joel, and she put Ellie through exactly what Joel put her through when he killed Abby's father. Except it's much worse because Ellie is forced to watch helplessly.
This is my brother.
Joe. Y'all act like you heard of us or something.
Because they have.
Nora, all clear? He's out. Put him against the wall. You stupid old man. You don't get to rush this. Pin her down! Get off me! Get her hands! Get the fuck off me!
Bitch! You got her! Look, you got her! Okay?
You're gonna fucking die!
What's going on?
Let him go!
Who is that?
Let him
She
go!
snuck in.
Why aren't you posted up outside?
We didn't think anyone was gonna show up.
What the hell did you expect? We gotta get out of here before the whole town's on top of us. You're done.
You want what I want, right?
End it. Now.
Joel, get up. Joel, fucking get up. Please stop. Please don't shoot. Joel, please get up. No!
The death itself is horrifying and gruesome. Joel looks like a pile of meat at this point, and all he can do is look at Ellie in pain. However, the real sadness of Joel's death lies within its effects on Ellie. Ellie basically turns into the god of war after this and hunts down Abby for the rest of the game. She first finds all of her friends one by one, murdering and even torturing them for information on Abby's whereabouts. Driven by anger and hurt, we see her go down a road that she almost can't come back from. We even see the toll it's taking on her after she kills a pregnant Mel.
Point to where she is. Fucking point! Tell me where Abby is. Where the fuck is she?
She gets PTSD as a result of witnessing Joel's death, feeling like it's her fault. Her dealing with that guilt is probably the worst part of it all for me. We see her replaying the details of Joel's death in her head, but if you watch her PTSD version of the events, you find that her guilt has subconsciously changed some of what she remembers about Joel's death. For example, the staircase leading down to the room Joel was in her PTSD nightmare is twice as long as the actual staircase. This symbolizes how she felt she wasn't fast enough and how she feels directly responsible for not being able to save Joel. This, as well as her hearing him desperately scream out for her in pain. This, again, is Ellie's guilt playing tricks on her, as Joel never actually screamed her name. It's a heartbreaking sequence, and I absolutely hated watching Ellie get broken down by her guilt. That hurt much more to me than Joel's actual death.
Okay, I'm gonna take him, okay? Come on.
Brock's death in God of War Ragnarok is one of the most tragic parts of the entire game. It's completely unexpected. Brock and Sindri are two dwarf brothers who are experts at crafting weapons. Kratos and Atreus regularly stop by them to upgrade their gear, and in the second game, they even house us, and we all basically become roommates for a bit. Now Brock, he's the blue one, and he's also a bit of a dickhead.
Hey! Alright, let's gear you fuckers up. The fuck you want?
But we start to see a different side of Brock in this game, a side that isn't all jokes and dickheadery. We first see this when he accompanies Kratos to have his new spear made. When Brock tries to communicate with the magical entity that makes these weapons, it ignores him. This proves something to Brock that he had hoped was never true. Brock died in the past. His brother Sindri found pieces of his soul and brought him back to life, but he couldn't find every piece. Sindri chose to keep this a secret from Brock.
Mermaids don't speak to our corporeal bodies. They speak to a part of our soul. A part specifically you might be missing.
Fuck! Damn it, Sindri, you lying cat scrubber! I knew it. I died.
This is why Brock doesn't seem all the way there. This is the real reason Brock's skin is blue. Sindri always told people it was because he would touch enchanted metals with no gloves, and that turned his skin blue. But he was always lying. Later in the game, everyone is together again after Atreus gets back from Asgard with the mask that Odin wants. It's at this point that Tyr, the old god of war who we found and had been living with us like the bum he is, he decided he will lead us to Asgard, and that the mask is the key. Which is pretty weird since he's been pretty lazy this whole time, and the mask is exactly what Odin wanted this whole game. This all makes Brock pretty suspicious as well.
Slow down, you damn spruce. I still want to hear the details on this, new way to Asgard you got. Spill it!
It's an ancient path. We can't reach it from here.
Where then?
Let me collect my things and I'll show you.
You ain't got no things. And where you going with that mask, Brock? That belongs to the kid. He earned it. All you done was make passable dirt soup.
Brock, it's okay.
No, it ain't. This ain't right. All the pieces ain't welding together true. Like, what's with him calling you Loki anyway? You know that ain't his name. Hey! I'm talking to you! You never shut up!
All the things, Odin.
Odin knew we were looking for Tyr, so he disguised himself as Tyr and was hiding amongst us the whole game. What an unexpected twist. Odin, you old, conniving, backstabbing, senile grandpa. With his dying breath, Brock confesses he learned that Sindri brought him back to life before, and he forgives him for not telling him. But now, it's time to really let him go.
Maybe if I go back to the lake.
Stop it. I know what you've done. And I forgive you. But you got his job.
We've never seen Brock in this way before, and his death has lasting effects. Sindri, normally the happy-go-lucky one, goes straight demon mode. Bro does not rock with us anymore, and it's pretty hard to blame him.
I gave you everything. My skills, my friendship, my home, my secrets, my treasures, and you just kept taking. And now what have I got? Not even my family. You want sorry? This is what sorry looks like.
There isn't a sadder death in the entirety of The Walking Dead than Lee Everett's death. Spending the whole game attempting to protect Clementine, Lee finds himself bitten and on the brink of death. Barely able to keep himself standing, Clementine desperately tries to do anything she can to help. It all comes to a head when Lee sits and can no longer stand back up. He tells Clementine that this is it for him, and she needs to find a way to prevent him from turning into a zombie. Clementine has no choice but to shoot the man that's done everything to keep her safe. One of the saddest deaths in gaming. Period, bro. This sequence really takes its time playing out, and you really feel the effects as Clementine. You know it's bad when people were coping, talking about, he's still alive, he's coming back in season 3. It's over, my brother. Let it go. It doesn't matter what Spider-Man story it is, bro. Video game, movie, comic book, Aunt May cannot catch a break.
But deliver us.
But nothing comes close to the death of Aunt May in Spider-Man PS4. They wanted to make this hurt, and hurt it did, bro. Hurt it did. Aunt May gets infected with a toxin known as Devil's Breath that was released by Doc Ock. Her and many other citizens of New York fall extremely ill, and she becomes bedridden. The disease is so widespread that sick camps have to be set up to treat the infected civilians. After an absolutely heartbreaking fight with Doc Ock, where he reveals he knew Peter was Spider-Man the whole time, which sends Peter into straight feral mode, by the way. Peter is able to obtain the cure for Devil's Breath. There's only one problem. Aunt May's illness has progressed too much, and she has no more time. Peter could give her the pure cure right now and save her life, but this means there will be none left to use to make a widespread cure for the rest of New York. Peter is forced to choose between saving the life of his aunt and saving the lives of hundreds to thousands of innocent people. Aunt May, knowing her nephew and what he will choose, says the most heartbreaking line in any Spider-Man story.
Take off your mask. I want to see my nephew.
You knew?
I've known for a while.
I never wanted you to worry.
I did. And I am so proud of you. And Ben would be too. All the people you've saved.
I don't know what to do.
Yes, you do.
I gotta go have a little chat before I get much sicker.
Arthur Morgan's death might be the saddest but most beautifully executed deaths in all of gaming history. If you're anything like me, when you started Red Dead Redemption 2, all you wanted to do was be the baddest outlaw in the land. I was just fiending to rob some stagecoaches and trains, bro. I was ready to be a modern-day Rufus Buck, and for a while, I did exactly that. You play as Arthur Morgan, one of the leading and founding members of the Vanderlyn outlaw gang, and right-hand man to Dutch Vanderlyn himself. It's 1899 and society is becoming civilized. Towns and even major cities are being built and popping up. The time of the outlaw is over, which means the way of life for you and your gang was also coming to an end. The days of robbing banks and trains and riding off into the sunset were over. We watch and play as Arthur and the gang move from state to state, robbing, threatening, stealing, and blackmailing whoever they come across to make money and keep their way of life. Arthur himself is no stranger to beating someone half to death just for money, but his actions soon catch up to him as blood from one of his victims gets into his system and he contracts tuberculosis, a disease easily treatable now, but in 1899, when the game takes place, fatal, bro. Fatal. Keep in mind, these boys ain't even have Tylenol back then. As the game progresses, we see our character get more and more sick, weaker and weaker. He will have random coughing fits, even coughing up blood. His face becomes worn and sickly. He's just not as strong as he once was. I'm not really sure what's worse, having a beloved character die suddenly or watching a beloved character suffer as an inevitable death approaches.
I guess I'm afraid.
Through his sickness, we see a change in Arthur. He feels remorse for the life he's lived and the lives he's destroyed. He begins seeking out people he's wronged before and attempting to make amends. This game is so insane because this even changed how I interacted with the world. I began to change right alongside Arthur. It no longer satisfied me or brought me any joy to senselessly beat, rob, or kill people. I spent the remainder of the game helping whoever I could. As Arthur changes, his leader Dutch begins to become unhinged. The walls around them are closing fast. Arthur tells those who have been loyal to him to leave while they can, as he takes his last ride. During Arthur's last ride, he reflects over his life and his decisions, the lives he's changed, and even the ones he's ended. It's clear to him and the player, the end is coming soon. When the United States government finally catches up with the gang, Arthur's last wish was for John to get his wife and son to safety, and to live a good life. Dutch, when faced with a dying Arthur, is unable to cope with the situation. He simply walks away, as Arthur tells him, "I gave you all I had."
I tried. In the end, I did.
Come on. Let's go. We can make it. Come on, Dutch. Come on!
Arthur takes his last dying breaths looking at the sunset over the mountains. John Marston. A sad death in and of itself, but made even more heartbreaking through the events of Red Dead Redemption 2. Red Dead 2 is a prequel to Red Dead 1, so everything in Red Dead 2 happens before the events of Red Dead Redemption 1. John Marston is another member of the Vanderlyn gang alongside Arthur Morgan. In fact, both Arthur and John were rescued and raised together by Dutch Vanderlyn and other members of the gang when they were both kids. John had abandoned the gang for some time, but eventually came back and had a wife and son, Abigail and Jack. At the end of Red Dead Redemption 2, John is able to escape with Abigail and Jack. They live on the run for a few years before John is able to secure them a house and a barn. It wasn't easy though. John had to hunt bounties, kill psychos, and even get a loan from the bank, which funnily enough was the hardest part for him.
What property? An old ranch? Beecher's Hope? That old dump?
But he did it, and they lived together peacefully for years. Unfortunately for John and his family, his past would eventually catch up with him, as the same government officials who were tracking the gang in Red Dead Redemption 2 have now found John. Instead of taking John in or killing him right then and there, they put him to work. They forced John to hunt down the remainders of his old gang, including the infamous leader himself, Dutch Vanderlyn.
Hello again, John.
Hello, Dutch.
We gotta stop meeting like this.
Sure.
John completed all of these tasks with the promise of being left alone after to live his life in peace. However, they lied. After finishing the government's job for them, they then came to John's home to really finish the job. John is able to get his wife and child on a horse before facing over 20 members of the United States government, and he goes out in an absolute blaze of glory. One last Deadeye, taking down multiple government officials with him. This death becomes infinitely worse when remembering how Arthur's dying wish was for John to get away and live a safe and happy life. At least John got to experience that for a couple of short years. It all comes full circle when Jack Marston, John's son, is all grown up. At the very end of RDR1, he finds the government official that was in charge of taking down his father, and they have one last duel.
You sent him to do your dirty work. Then you shot him like a dog.
And I'll shoot you like one too, you little piece of trash. Now get out of here before I kill you as well!
I ain't going nowhere, old man.
Thank you all so much for watching. This is my first time ever making a more in-depth video like this. I plan on doing a lot more long-form and deep dive content kind of like this. I've got an Invincible breakdown coming soon and more Helldivers content coming, of course. Please like and subscribe if you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope to catch you all on the next one.
We've been steady mobs, yeah. Running routes, we mob, yeah. In a whip, we mob, yeah. Money straight up past, yeah. Talking shit gon' cost, yeah.